Ever since the start of the Neo Egos League, we've seen Isagi go from playing on a version of Bastard where he was pretty much neglected, having to resort to stealing passes in order to actually touch the ball, to one of the main key players of the team, while also reforming the lineup of Bastard out of Blue Lockers, having the team start more Blue Lockers as we've progressed throughout these few matches. Now, we know Isagi wants to turn Bastard into his own team, a team that treats him like the main striker that the team revolves around, like how Bastard was with Kaiser before Blue Lock. Now, we know Isagi is unable to have a team like that, like how Ubers does with Baro, Manshine does with Nagi, and even how Barca does with Bachira, because he has Kaiser to deal with and people like Ness who are loyal to only him. So I thought, why don't I fix that and give this man Isagi what he wants? Hey guys, Darkherojosh here, and today we are going to be building Isagi's dream, or I guess to be more realistic, most ideal team slash formation for him to work with, as the U20 World Cup is becoming more and more relevant, and with that comes a lot of formations that could surprise us. So without further ado, let's get straight into this video. So the formation that we're going for today is a 4-3-3 lineup. Although it being pretty popular or overused formation, whatever you guys want to call it, it's pretty balanced and it's going to allow the team to hold possession with the ball longer and move the ball around more smoothly, which will make sense as I start revealing who I picked to do the job to ensure that Isagi doesn't have to look over his shoulder every 2 seconds. Since we know it's going to be a team designed for Isagi, we're obviously going to put him at the top striker position, and we're going to give him that captain badge too of the team, but we'll start from the bottom half and work our way back up. So in goalkeeper, we have the Guardian Gagamaru Gin. No surprise there, obviously, as stated by Ego when choosing the starters for the Blue Lock 11 and Noah choosing the starters for the match against Manshine City. He's had the most qualifying stats out of his peers when it comes to goalkeeping due to things like his height, wingspan, instantaneous reflexes, flexibility, etc. In his debut match in the NEL, we saw him save Rayo's copy shot, copying Rin's Travella from the U20 match that actually got them the goal in that match. And in the next game against the Ubers, we see Gagamaru gain his sixth sense while in flow, known as his wild instincts, to counter Baro's predator eye to overall make a jaw-dropping save against him. Nevertheless, it was pretty obvious that we were going to put Gagamaru in goalkeeper from the jump. Moving on to the defensive line, starting with our center backs, we got the Watchtower, Iki Nico, and the final wall, Oliver Aiku. We've seen both play the defensive position, specifically in the center back position, ever since the U20 match and beyond. With the idea of Isagi's ideal team in mind, he definitely needs players who see the game eye to eye with him, literally. With Nico being able to stop Shido's rampage once he subbed into the second half, being able to see Itoshi-Sai's entire play of sending Shido across, resulting in him having to foul Shido to stop him, he found a new love for the sport, from wanting to score goals as a forward to crushing forwards as a defender after seeing how fun it was. After joining Ubers, all of his stats have increased a great amount, and after facing Isagi for the first time since the first selection, he's grasped Metavision. Now, although Nico is taking baby steps with Metavision, he's definitely on track to developing it to become a great weapon for the U20 World Cup. Aiku, on the other hand, has a more developed Metavision as seen in the U20 match, but like Nico, he's still learning to get the hang of it. Ever since Aiku's introduction to the series, he's pretty much been the best defender we've seen yet in the series, except Don Lorenzo, of course. With him being the second biggest threat to Itoshi-Sai in that match, Aiku was stopping plays left and right, from Bachira's pass to Yukimiya's shot attempt. He was there to shut it down. Being that Aiku played as a striker before switching to being a defender, his stats are fairly well-rounded. Aiku was the previous captain of the U20 team, and his sense of leadership is really something, being able to command the defensive line as well as the team without anyone acting out or questioning his authority. And although he isn't the captain of this team, I still think he's a player many in Blue Lock respect. With someone in the defensive line who has a great game sense, field vision, and on top of all that, a body that can execute his desires, having Aiku with Nico in the center back position will really help form the backbone of this team. Moving on to the left and right back of the team, we've got Kurono Ranze and Yukimiya Kenyu. During Kurona's debut match against Manshine, he was placed at the same position of right back, and with Isagi as the offensive midfielder, we saw these two dominate the field time and time again during the match with Planet Hotline, and this only increased after Isagi's discovery of Metavision as they took the field by storm, dominating it to a whole new level. Kurona is a speedy player who really specializes in short passing plays, as we've seen thus far, and even though Isagi is the main striker, Kurona can still move up the field with him or anyone else on the right side, and overall adds support to the offense line in case they need it. Now, I know Yukimiya's bag is pretty decent, from his speed and dribbling to his famous gyro shot, but I really don't think I'm wasting his skill by putting him in the left back position. I know in the U20 match he was the left wing and his performance was pretty good, almost scoring a goal at that if it wasn't for Aiku reaching flow before him, but debuting in the same match as Kurona in the NEL in the same position as left back, he was doing pretty well in terms of defense and offense alike, and I think a lot of people really overlooked that performance. In the beginning of the match, as Nagi was trying to add his own creativity to the game and create plays from zero, we see that Yukimiya came in with a diving header to block Nagi's juggling shot, and honestly that might have been his biggest defensive feat yet. He was also able to catch up to Chigiri to stop him from getting closer to the goal later on in the match. On the offensive side, we've seen him pass almost every Manshine City player with the use of his speed and street football dribbling style to get into their half and take a shot, and it would have went in if it wasn't for the likes of Chris Prince coming in to shut it down. Nevertheless, having Yukimiya and Kurona in the left and right back position allows the team to have a solid defensive line as well as backup just in case the offense needs more fuel to the fire. Moving up on our midfield, we got our CDM, the head of the defensive line, but also the extra layer of offense just in case they need it. And for that, I'm gonna have to give up the spot to our boy Karasu. We've already seen how great his ball keeping ability is, being the best Blue Lock has to offer, as well as his great analytical skills of the game. We've seen this greatly in the U20 match as he was able to take the leading role, call out plays, and provide support pretty much everywhere on the pitch. Even though he wasn't confirmed to have Metavision yet, honestly we should all know this by now, but by the end of this game he's going to at least grasp it if he at least immerses himself well enough. I'm really just adding more to the analytical and calculated side of Isagi's rational team here, as I'm sure he'll be able to connect with Isagi as well as the team well on that part. Ever since the U20 match, we've pretty much seen Karasu main this position in every match after that, and since he does so well in it, what right would I have moving him from it, you know what I mean? Placing Karasu here would definitely add to the backbone of the defensive line by giving someone who isn't afraid to take charge and control the play. Moving on to the center mids, or the cams, or the offensive midfielders, whatever you guys want to call them, we got Hiyori and Kunigami Rensuke. Now, I know a lot of y'all are going to look at me crazy, but y'all gonna have to hear me out real quick. Although Kunigami's passing ain't all the way there as much as his peers, he can definitely make a 1-2 passing play to the rest of the team when needed. Now, this definitely would be different if he was still the ball hog demon he was for pretty much the majority of the NEL, but as of recently, ever since Ego's words haunted him, he's pretty much been pretty compliant about this whole passing thing and understanding his role in the team. And with a player who has a lot of history playing along Isagi, you know, first selection day one, and with that much skill and that deep of a bag being Noah's copy man and all that, boasting debatably the best physical stats on this team, I think it would be a shame not to have him on this team. Hiyori, on the contrary, is, I'm sure, where a lot of you would put him, especially on an Isagi-centered team. He is definitely a top 3 midfielder in Blue Lock currently, and even though he did say he'd make the best striker with his passes, dropping anyone who can't meet that ideal, Isagi has proven to meet that ideal time and time again since then. With a player in the midfield who can literally see the game exactly like Isagi, they could dominate in the other team's halves, making plays and sending passes the other team and even players on their own team wouldn't even think of. The chemical reaction that these two can produce alone on a team is quite literally insane, whipping crazy crosses to Isagi time and time again, and even sending crazy no-look passes to throw off the defenders who are on him and make them think that he's going in for the shot. So far, this has had an 100% success rate after just 2 attempts, getting Bastard the game-winning goal in the Ubers match and the first goal against PXG. During the Ubers game, we've seen a crazy amount from Hiyori's bag that he's just been keeping from all of us, from things like his dribbling and his field vision being higher than we've all thought. Also, having history with Karasu as well, these two can definitely take control of the midfield with ease with their high level plays, passes, etc. Overall, with a player who has a passing speed and curve comparable to Itoshi Sai pre-NEL, I think Hiyori's spot is perfect in the midfield section as the brains, with the other Kunigami as the bronze in the midfield. Now, moving on to our final 2 players to reveal, the wingers of this dream team. We have Chigiri Hyoma of the left wing and Meguru Bachira of the right wing. Starting off with Bachira, we know that the Isagi x Bachira duo was heavy during the first and a little bit of the second selection. We then see this duo back in action again in the U20 match, and honestly they did a pretty good job moving the ball a bit more upfield. We know that Bachira's dribbling is pretty insane and honestly probably the best Blue Lock has to offer yet, and a great example of that was in the U20 match during his solo play. Another moment that I really don't see a lot of people talking about, because although it wasn't as aggressive or disrespectful as Rin breaking through the iron wall, Bachira pretty much did the same exact feat, if it wasn't for Sendo who stopped it in the end somehow. We've also seen him whip some pretty good crosses to Isagi throughout the series and create chemical reactions with him and others. Anyways, as we move to the Neo Egoist League, we see that Bachira's skills improved a whole lot, even being a starter on the team on their debut match against Bastard. With dribbling that was able to get by Bastard's half with complete ease, and to even score the opening goal of the match with some help from FC Barca, it's understandable why, even on a team with a crazy losing streak, he still managed to stay in the top 5 rankings of the NEL. Needless to continue, having this type of technique on the right side of the team is a definite must. Like Bachira, Chigiri's individual skills have greatly improved, already being the fastest player in Blue Lock in terms of overall speed or top speed. We see him become more of a complete player going into Manshine City. This Prince was low-key a genius putting this man on the left side of the field to take full control over it. We see him pass through the defenders of Bastard with ease time and time again. It was shown he can still speed up beyond that, and honestly with his speed at a 98 overall, he is definitely a player you can easily lose in a 1-to-1 matchup, especially with his quick cut-ins. Overall, in Manshine, he's proved that he doesn't need anyone to send him the ball, and that he's perfectly capable of scoring goals on his own and make good passes when necessary, like giving Otoya a cross in the 3rd selection to prove himself, and sending a cross to Karasu in the U20 game after outpacing Oliver Aiku. But above all else, taking into account the type of player Chigiri is, and the fact that this is Isagi's team, and both of them working pretty well together in the past, being teammates in the 1st selection and in the U20 game, I highly doubt there would be an objection or complete ignorance to the system. Now that we've gone over the team, I think it's only fair that I talk about the 3 subs that I chose briefly, being Raichi, Nanase, and Reo, and talk about which position I'd put them in just in case anything were to happen to the starters, like injuries, cramps, etc. Starting off with Raichi in the CDM position instead of Karasu. As we've seen in the NEL thus far, Raichi is performing very well in this position for the past game or so. Having his little moment of man-marking Snuffy, with the crazy stamina this guy has, if we need more muscle in the defensive line, Raichi is definitely the guy to go for. Moving on to Nanase, I'd have him in Kunigami's position as the other center mid with Hiyori. Now with him, I think it would synergize the team a little bit more. I mean, we saw how well Isagi, Hiyori, and him play together in the 3rd selection, so maybe they can reawaken that 3rd selection synergy if needed. But Nanase was able to follow Isagi's movements in the match as well, so that could definitely be used in the offense, being said if he still can do that. And with him being naturally ambidextrous, and though he just discovered it recently, I think by the time the World Cup comes, he'd have pretty good control over both of his legs and be able to provide good support to Isagi and his team, as he does with Rin in PXG. Now, our last player in reserves, Rayo. And honestly, this was kind of a hard decision putting him in reserves instead of the main lineup, but y'all are just gonna have to hear me out for a little bit. I'd honestly put Rayo anywhere on the pitch due to his chameleon copy ability, preferably in the defensive line or the midfield. Again, adding to the idea of more metavision users on the team who can relatively see the game like Isagi can, and as we've seen at the end of the Manshine City game, Rayo was able to just grasp it. We've seen Rayo play good defense in the U20 match, subbing in for Nico as the center back, and great offense as the starting midfielder for Manshine City. So overall, giving him pretty much the any position like we're playing FIFA, I think Rayo will do great and adapt to whatever position I'd put him in. Overall, having players who can create many chemical reactions with Isagi alone and each other like the Eagles 4, Hiyori and Karasu, Planet Hotline, Third Selection Trio, and many more, as well as having many players who can see the game relatively to how Isagi can and add more brains to the team, I think I made a pretty decent lineup if I do say so myself. If you guys did enjoy this formation video, then please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and comment down below what other things Blue Lock do you guys want me to talk about next on the channel. Don't forget as well to make sure to follow the socials like the IG or the Twitter, and join the Discord. We're actually almost at 100 members, so I'd actually really appreciate if you guys went up and joined that real quick. But without further ado, I hope you guys do have a great day, and see ya.